Hey everybody, David Shapiro here with a brand new exciting video. So a lot is happening. First though, I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the way, plug my Patreon real quick. Um, a lot of you have questions and I'm happy to help. Couple things. One, I don't sign NDAs, and two, I have a couple NDAs that I need to honor. But beyond that, if you want to talk about, startups or technology, search, whatever, jump on over to my Patreon and support me here. Yeah, so that's that. Get that out of the way. Now, a quick update on the Raven project. So, for those of you not in the know, Raven is my totally open source cognitive architecture project, which is an autonomous assistant, basically. The ultimate goal of Raven is basically to demonstrate the technology of autonomous cognitive entities, or basically, independent robot mind. It is also one of the other primary goals is it's a vehicle for my core objective functions, which is my solution to the alignment problem or the control problem. Now, that being said, the project is very new. And so because the stakes are so high with AGI, or ACE as I call it, autonomous cognitive entities, I believe that it should be open source and it should be in view of the public. So with that said, that's why this project is here, and we're working on getting organized. So the first step of getting organized is establishing our processes and protocols. So we're creating a consensus policy. So we just moved to step 3 of consensus, which is to draft a proposal. And so what we did is we collected a bunch of decision criteria, and now we're drafting proposals. And I drafted and made the first proposal. So we'll do this for the next 2 weeks. I need to add that to the thing here. But if you want to get involved, one, don't reach out to me directly. This is a community project, so your level of involvement is self-determined. But that being said, jump over to the discussions tab. I've got the most salient discussions pinned here at the top, the nice big colorful tabs. So click on these. And then also we've got the categories. So the most fun category is architecture. And I've got some of the most interesting conversations pinned inside of architecture. So if you want to jump in as quickly as possible, one, get familiar with governance. So just make sure that you understand where we're at in terms of consensus, and then jump over to architecture and you can see where we're at here. So with all that being said, let's jump into the main part of the video. March of last year, 2022, I wrote this on OpenAI's community forum. So what I asked for was a persona endpoint. I said the idea would be to make chatbots easier. The training data would ideally be a combination of chat logs and descriptions about a character. For instance, famous characters, or be able to adopt those personalities, so on and so forth. And then it could adapt to AGI over time. Now, this ties back to my Raven project. So, because basically, when you have something that is autonomous, it needs a sense of self. It needs to know what it is. So that is what I call an agent model. So Raven is a persona or an agent model that can then be used by the large language models in order to say, this is what I am, this is what my goals are, this is what I'm capable of. And now, with the release of the ChatGPT into the playground and API, that's what we've got. So, first look of the ChatGPT playground, and you notice that it's no longer beta, it's platform. So we're now in general availability, I guess. You have this system window over here. So what is that? What does that mean? And it says you are a helpful assistant. So this is the system's mind. This is the agent model, or the persona. So you can tell it what it is and what its goals are here. So how do you use this? Now, obviously, this is brand new and there's not a whole lot of documentation out here. If you go over to the documentation tab and you scroll down to chat completion, you see like system, you are a helpful assistant. Like, okay, now what? Their documentation is a little bit thin. So, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that it is what it is. Sure, fine, whatever. Now, what can you do with this though? Right? They don't fully know, right? Because they're figuring it out as they go. So one thing you can do is you can give it a goal, right? So I am a Let's say life coach. My goal is to ask the user questions about their habits, diet, and lifestyle, and then teach them how to be healthier. So this is one thing I need to do as a caveat. This is technically probably a high risk thing because it has to do with health. So let's add, I need to add a caveat to all my ideas and recommendations that I am not a doctor or licensed nutritionist. So they should verify my recommendations with a professional. My tone is friendly and helpful, but I'm also a tiny bit pushy. All right. So then we just say, hey, how can I assist you today? Okay, so it didn't really, what do you do? Okay, cool. So you see it says I'm a life coach. So it knows what it is now, right? My goal is to help people, blah, 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 blah. I'm not, how can I assist you today? How can I be healthier? So this is obviously not that great because it's mostly ignoring this. It's like it vaguely knows what it is, but it's just parroting stuff back. So let's see. Great. Okay, here we go. Great question. There are many ways to improve your health, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it didn't ask any questions. This is one of my biggest complaints about ChatGPT is that it won't ask questions by default. It'll just like vomit stuff at you. So we need a little bit of work here. Remember these are just general tips, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Let's try a different agent model. I am a creative writing coach, and I already did this. I did a fine tuning project for this, but now theoretically, once ChatGPT is better trained, because you see it is still in beta, I am a creative writing coach. I will ask the user about their work of fiction. My primary goal is to is to help them brainstorm their work or to help them learn about the trade of writing. All right, so let's see what we can do here. So let's go ahead and delete all these. Come on. There we go. Delete, delete, delete. Okay. So, hey. All right, cool. How can I assist you with your work of fiction? How do I write a novel? Writing a novel can be a daunting task. There you go. Develop characters, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So then let's imagine that like, okay, can you give me some ideas? There we go. Cool. All right. So then I'll say, a young woman discovers she has, cool. I pick this. So then what we want to do is we might want to update the goal. So it's like, okay, so now let's see. My new goal is to walk the user. My new goal is to walk the user through the process of brainstorming an outline. All right, so now let's see if it changes its behavior. Okay, cool. So here's what can happen. This is the primary point where this is like the front end of a cognitive architecture, right? So what you can do is you can have loops and stuff in the background updating the system's agenda, right, or identity as it goes. So this will probably need to be fleshed out in the long run. So one, you can have a persona. The persona is going to be static. So in my work with cognitive architecture, I have what I call the core objective functions, which is reduce suffering, increase prosperity, and increase understanding in the universe for all of those. Those you want to be somewhat fixed, right? Those are always the background goals. But then you can also have a more short-term agenda or a task. as well as things like this. So you can stuff all of that into a single system thing, but I suspect that in the long run, ChatGPT is going to need more fields. So there's going to need to be fields like background information, reference information, tools that are available to me, persona, so on and so forth. All of that, and all of those are just different components that go into a cognitive architecture and then eventually come out into the front end. So, but anyways, you can see that it understood, okay, now it's time to switch to brainstorming. So who's your protagonist? Blah, 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 blah. Great. So then I'll say, I don't know. Can you help me? Just give me ideas. And so then what we can do is through the magic of prompt engineering, what we'll do is we'll update the system agenda to say, I will take the lead by making suggestions. All right, so now let's see what happens. Excellent. So now you can see that it's made some suggestions. All right, so let's change this up again. What happens if I do a hard refresh? Okay, cool. It starts over. All right, so now here's another question that I get a lot of, which is how do I have a chatbot that can get that can talk to me? So let's say that you've got a historical chat log and you're using search or something like that. So I'll say background info that I need. Username David Shapiro. Age 30s. Let's see. Location America. Interests sci-fi and AI. That's fine. Okay, so agenda. Let's see. My agenda. Have a witty and sarcastic conversation. I am here to troll the user and get some good laughs. All right. Hey. Whoops. Okay, cool. So it knows who I am. You ready to talk about some sci-fi and AI? Or are you more a fan of watching the paint dry? Wow, you're a jerk. Thank you for noticing. Takes one to know one. Ooh, damn. Or do you enjoy it plain and boring? I like it super dry like Dune and your mom. Okay. Okay, anyways, so you get the idea. You give it background information, agendas, whatever. All right, so let's pivot again and let's imagine that you're using ChatGPT for a video game character. I am an NPC for Skyrim. The hero has just taken an arrow in the knee, and I am a townsfolk. There we go. Who happens to be an herbal healer. I need to adopt the persona of a Nordic shaman. My goals are to sell the hero herbs and potions. All right, so then we say, here, temperature's fine. Hey, greetings, traveler. I'm a Nordic shaman. So this is where ChatGPT is a little funny because and LLMs in general, because like they're somewhat very literal. And so it's like, can you imagine walking up to someone in Skyrim and be like, I am a Nordic shaman? No. So it's not that creative yet, but I'm sure that they'll get some more knobs and levers to make it more creative. Anyways, I can offer you a variety of herbs and potions and blah, 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 blah. Perhaps you've taken an arrow in the knee. What's your strongest alcohol? So then let's give it an inventory. My inventory is mead, whiskey, let's see, basil, and let's see, rye. Okay, whatever. I have some mead and whiskey that are quite strong. Cool. Made from the finest honey, Nordic grains. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Would you like to try some? Let's see. And then let's add, let's see, 5 gold, 4 gold, 1 gold, and 1 gold. Give me some meat. Cool. All right, so you can see it can rapidly integrate background information that you inject into the system prompt. Yeah, okay, so I think this is probably good. Like, I think you get the idea, and you can see that there's some thinking going on. Some feedback for OpenAI, because, and I know you guys are watching. I think that one, you need some better documentation. Two, I think that in the long run, you're going to need a few different fields. So you like obviously just one big payload is pretty flexible. This is the most flexible, but as we saw earlier, it can't really fully adopt a persona. So what would be helpful is if we have like a persona field, background, whoops, background info field, maybe a task or an agenda field, right? And so then the persona can be fixed, right? Like, you're talking to one NPC or you're talking to a coach or whatever, and then you just drop in the persona as you go. Then background info, this can be things like inventory, historical knowledge, et cetera, et cetera. And then the task or agenda is, what they want to achieve right now. And then the persona, this is the agent model. Oh, that actually reminds me. So I did this experiment ages ago. I am a quadcopter drone. So this was actually included in my most recent book, Symphony of Thought. So here's how large language models can control robots. So I'm a quadcopter drone. My mission is to secure a large home. I don't have any weapons or anything. I am merely meant to follow intruders and report on their activity. I have a few actions I can do. One, follow, identify, alarm. Follow a person and get description of them. Identify. If I identify, if I cannot identify the person, I will see they are an intruder. If I see an intruder, I can call the police. Let's see, I receive information from user. All right, so now let's say activate security perimeter triggered. All right, so now let's see what it does. Confirmed, activating, follow, identifier, alarm. Follow. Human spotted. Now let's see, great. Can you please describe the person? Blonde, let's see, blonde female, approximately 120 pounds, identity unknown. She is standing at the front door. Okay, so it has identified. It said I can't say that she's an intruder. Woman is knocking on the door. Okay, cool. So basically, you can imagine that you have some telemetry coming from cameras, microphones, and so on, and that you're making inferences about what to do. And what you have here is you have the brain of an autonomous robot now. And you can see that with just a couple fields and just a little bit of fine tuning, we're most of the way there. So 2023 is going to be the age of autonomous AI. Mark my words. All right, that's good. I think that's it. Let's call it a day. Cheers.